December 1863. The schooner Grafton leaves Sydney Harbor, its black hull gleaming in the summer light. The sea is calm, the sails full. On board are 5 men, strangers bound together by ambition. Captain Thomas Musgrave, English-born and disciplined, stands at the helm. He dreams of charting new territory, the wild subantarctic islands rumored to hold tin, silver, and seal skins. His crew: François-Edouard Raynal, a French sailor and craftsman, clever with his hands and endlessly curious. George Harris, quiet, loyal, with the patience of a fisherman. Henry Forges, broad-shouldered and steady, a sealer by trade. Alexander McLaren, the first mate, young but courageous. They head south toward the Auckland Islands, a lonely chain of rocks and forest in the path of the roaring 40s winds. No permanent inhabitants, no rescue ships, just fog and storms. The voyage is long but hopeful. They hunt seals, chart reefs, and fill their journals. Then, as the new year dawns, dark clouds rise on the horizon. The 3rd of January, 1864. A storm unlike any they've ever seen tears across the sea. The wind screams. Waves rise like black towers. Rain blinds them. The Grafton is hurled toward shore, a jagged, unseen coastline shrouded in fog. The anchor drags. Musgrave shouts over the thunder, "Hold fast!" But the sea answers with fury. The ship strikes rock, a deafening crack. The hull splits. Water floods the deck. Musgrave orders them to abandon ship. They lash together a makeshift raft and push through the surf, clutching ropes, crates, and one another. The freezing water burns their skin. They crawl ashore at dawn, half dead, on a desolate beach of black sand. Behind them, the Grafton lies shattered among the rocks. They have no food, no shelter, no dry clothes, and no idea where they are. They gather what the sea gives back: a barrel of nails, some timber, a few tools, a small iron pot. Musgrave insists on order. "We will survive," he says, voice shaking. "But only if we work as one." They build a fire from driftwood and flint, shielding the small flame with their hands as the wind howls. For the first time in days, they feel warmth. They begin exploring their surroundings: thick bush, cliffs, and endless rain. No sign of people. When hunger strikes, they scour the shore for limpets, seaweed, and roots. Then they find seals. The men kill one and roast its meat. The oil becomes their light. The skin becomes their clothing. Each day, they salvage more from the wreck canvas, chains, wood, and haul it back inland. The beach becomes their lifeline. Raynal writes in his journal, "We are in the most inhospitable corner of the earth, but as long as we live, we must build." The men decide to build a permanent shelter. Musgrave divides the tasks. Harris and Forges gather wood. McLaren cuts stone. Raynal designs the interior. Piece by piece, the cabin rises walls of rock and driftwood, roofed with sealskin and moss. They name it Epic White, an invented word meaning home of hope. Inside, they craft furniture from salvaged planks. Raynal invents a bellows from seal hide, an anvil from a rock, and a forge from clay. From broken nails and bits of iron, he forges knives, hinges, and cooking tools. They make soap from ash and seal fat. They create oil lamps, sew clothes, and even make ink for writing. In the evenings, they sit by the fire, reading aloud from the ship's few books: the Bible, a nautical almanac, and a tattered novel. Outside, the wind roars. Inside, humanity holds. With Epigwite secure, they explore further inland. The island is vast and wet, blanketed with moss and twisted trees. They discover evidence of earlier wrecks, rusted tools, the remains of a hut, even a human skull buried in the sand. The realization chills them. They are not the first to be stranded here, but perhaps the first still alive. They hunt seals and penguins for meat. They trap birds and collect eggs. They store supplies in wooden boxes, always planning ahead. Renal records the island's geography in precise sketches. Musgrave takes compass readings and marks the coastline. They dream of mapping it fully, though the endless rain wears them down. Winter comes early. The sun disappears for weeks. The wind never stops. Snow piles against the door. The cabin shakes in the storms. Food grows scarce. They eat what they conceal: meat, shellfish, and bitter roots. They burn seal oil for heat. Their faces blacken with soot. Forges grows weak. His gums bleed scurvy. Reynal prepares a remedy from seal liver, rich in vitamins, and it saves him. They keep their minds alive with routine prayer in the morning, work by day, reading by night. Reynal writes, "Our bodies are prisoners of this island, but our spirits must not be." As months turn into a year, the men grow closer than family. They mark Christmas with a feast: roasted seal, boiled roots, and a pudding made from flour scraps. They sing, tell stories, and for one night forget where they are. Reynal carves chess pieces from bone. They play by lamplight, laughing through the storms outside. They make shoes, hats, and curtains from sealskin. The cabin becomes warm and civilized, a miracle of human invention at the edge of the world. Musgrave writes that it feels like living in a small kingdom of 5 men, held together by necessity and faith. By mid-1865, hope for rescue fades. No ship has appeared in over a year. Musgrave calls a meeting. "If no one comes for us," he says, "then we must go for ourselves." They decide to build a seaworthy vessel using the Grafton's remains. Reynolds designs it. The others collect wood and iron. For weeks they labor hammering, bending, sewing sails. The new craft will be small but strong. They name it the Rescue. As it takes shape, tension fills the air. They know that if the boat fails, they'll die at sea. But if they stay, they'll die on land. July 1865. The sea is calm for once. Musgrave, McLaren, and Reynolds board the Rescue. Harris and Forges stay behind to guard the camp and await salvation. The men push off, their tiny sails catching the freezing wind. The waves rise higher than walls. Rain lashes their faces. For days they sail through darkness, guided only by stars and Musgrave's crude compass. Reynolds bails water as McLaren steers. On the 5th day, they sight land Stewart Island, off New Zealand's southern coast. They collapse on the beach, half dead but alive. Locals find them and bring help. Within weeks, Musgrave organizes a rescue expedition. He returns for Harris and Forges, both still alive in Epigwite. After nearly 2 years stranded, all 5 men are saved. While the Grafton men fight to survive, another ship meets the same fate on the island's northern shore. The Invercalled, a Scottish vessel with 25 aboard, is smashed by storms just months after the Grafton's wreck. 25 survivors crawl ashore, but unlike Musgrave's disciplined crew, the Invercalled's men fall apart. The captain offers no plan. The officers separate from the sailors. They fight over scraps of food. No one builds shelter. They sleep in mud, soaked and freezing. Death comes quickly. Some are rumored to have turned to cannibalism. After months of chaos, only 3 remain: Captain Dalgarno, Robert Holding, and 1 crewman. They find a crude hut, likely built by earlier sealers, and cling to life there. A year later, a whaling ship spots their smoke and rescues them. 3 survivors out of 25. 2 groups of men, 1 island. The Grafton men survived through order, cooperation, and compassion. The Invercalled men perish through fear, disunity, and despair. Same storms, same hunger, same loneliness. Completely different fates. The Auckland Islands became a test of human nature itself, showing how leadership, friendship, and faith can preserve life even when the world vanishes. Back in civilization, Musgrave publishes his journal. Renan writes his own account in French, calling it Les Naufragés, the Castaways. Their story spreads across Europe and Australia. Their hut, Epigwait, remains standing for decades, its stone chimney, a monument to ingenuity and courage. The Auckland Islands are now a nature reserve, uninhabited and silent. But if you visit, the ruins of Epigwait still whisper of 5 men who refused to surrender. 2 shipwrecks happened there. Only one became a story of hope.